Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to introduce myself to you. My name is Barb Basil. I train on the Ncomply software solution for Ncontracts, and today we're going to review the regulations update area of Ncomply. Now, without Ncomply in the reg updates area of the software, a compliance officer could spend all day, every day tracking and reading changes to regulations and still never getting to all of them, let alone interpreting and implementing them. Our Reg Updates area of the solution has a method to actively monitor and quickly review regulatory changes, determine which rules specifically impact your institution, with the ability to share those changes with the affected business units, departments, and personnel. Because, everybody has a role to play in keeping your financial institution compliant. So first, before we begin and comply in the reg updates area specifically, we're going to go into the settings area of the software. There's a new feature out there that maybe you don't know about. You could have been trained before we had that feature released. So I'm going to come up here to my initials in the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to go into the settings area of the software. Now, this is an admin function that I'm going to show you. So we come into Ncomply, and we're going to hop right to the Regs tab right here. Now, within Ncomply, you have three ways to inactivate, or in other words, archive a reg update. Two are automated and can be set up from this area, and one is manual, and we'll be covering that manual method here during our webinar today. But here are the two automated ways you can set up an archive, or in other words, inactive. So you can choose to inactivate, I should say, a reg update based off the date that it has been addressed. So here we see that here, the address date. Now that could be a flat 90 days after it's been addressed, or you can choose a number of days after that item has been addressed. Now the other way is down here, the other box, and you can mark a reg update as inactive after its deadline date. Okay, and that is a flat 180 days after the deadline date is older than, or you can choose a number of days. Okay. Now, out of the two options that we have on this page, our Ncontracts experts do recommend selecting the automatic archive or inactive from the date the reg has been addressed here. So this top box. But don't forget, we do have that manual method, okay, and I'm going to show you that. But using the automatic archive option does make the implementation of Ncomply faster and more streamlined, because what that does is it hides old reg updates that you may have addressed outside of the system, while still giving you, the administrators, the ability to search for and find these older reg updates. But again, manual method, I'll show you how to do that. But let's go ahead and get back into the software piece. So I'm just going to use the application switcher, and I'm going to go back into Ncomply. So under the research tab, there is the reg updates area. Okay, this holds your regulatory changes that affect your financial institution. These alerts are tracked and automatically selected for you depending on the products and services that were selected within the settings area of the software. And you may notice this little red dot here next to the tab. This red dot appears anytime there is an unread reg update on your system. So if there are no unread reg updates, that red dot is not going to appear out here. And this is one way of knowing if there is a new regulation update in the system. Now, there is another way, and that is by getting that reg update email. Ncomply administrators receive an email notification when a new reg update is added to your system. The reg update feature uses the same algorithm as the research tab to determine if a specific change applies to your institution. And what I mean by that is, depending, again, on the products and services that we check off within the settings, determines what you see by default within the regulation research library and the reg update area of the software. Okay, so I do have an email queued up, so just let me bring it over. Just gotta pull it up here. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Nothing ever works when you want it to. Okay, here it is. And let me just open this up a little bit. I want you to see what that looks like. Okay, so here's my new reg update email, what it looks like. First of all, it comes from ncontracts at ncontracts.com. We see the ncontracts logo out here as well. But further down the page here, we see the name of the reg update, the publishing agency, the type of update that it is, with the date of publication. Now, the action would be to go ahead and click on View Reg Update Details button. Now, clicking on this link will navigate you into the software, into that specific reg update if you're signed in, okay? If you're not signed in, you're going to need to sign in. But when you click into that, here it goes. It takes me right to that reg update, okay? Now, currently, administrators cannot opt out of receiving an email, okay? So I just want you to be aware of that as well. So let me just move this over to the side. That was the email. Now, let's go ahead and click into the reg update area. First of all, in the upper right-hand corner here, we have a search icon. You can go ahead, apply that specific regulation or reg update that you're looking for here within that search bar. We also have a drop-down filter. This drop-down filter helps narrow your list and what you're looking for. So you can filter by already in effect, and then we have the different types, future regulations, and those types are out here as well. You can narrow your list down by regulator. And then down here at the very bottom, we see only active updates is already identified for us. That's our default setting to only show you active updates. However, you can view everything by clicking on the Everything Radio button, and that will include inactive reg updates. So again, if you use that archive or an active item within settings or a manual method, clicking on the Everything Radio button, you will be able to find those items. And then, of course, we have the reset filters down here. Now, on the left-hand side, you see a blue line out here, okay? That blue line indicates that this item is new and that I haven't looked at it yet, okay? The blue line is portal specific. So what I mean by portal is you have an email that you use to sign into the Ncontract software. That's your portal into the software. So the blue line will disappear when everything in the group has been read. So for example, I read both of these. So that blue line is gone. Here, this is a group, okay? As well as this is a group. So that's what I mean by grouping, okay? But keep in mind, that doesn't mean that the line is gone for others who have access. If they have not read that group, that blue line will still display when they're in their portal. Now, our reg updates are tracked and added to Ncomply by our regulatory compliance experts every business day. They will automatically appear within your database the next business day if the regulation applies to your financial institution. So I'm just going to come up here to the top and I'm just going to search. Let's say I want to search by the FDIC. When I do that, that reformats this list or filters this list down. And I want to look for a specific, let's just say I want to look at unsafe and unsound banking practices. Now, when I click into that, here at the very top is the timeline, okay? This timeline represents all the changes this regulation has gone through in time. These are blue, that means they're clickable. So you can click into any of those and see how that regulation has changed through time. And this can be helpful. You know, if you ever have a question when you're reading, finalizing, and implementing this change at your financial, you have the ability to go back through those proposed stages and see why the regulation was constructed the way it was. Now, over here in the upper right-hand corner, we see Mark Inactive. This is your manual option for archiving or inactivating a reg update. And now, again, you may want to do this because you could have taken action on this a while ago and you're not actively tracking this reg update anymore, or because the change does not apply to your institution and you don't want to see that update on your overview list page. But when you mark that as an active, Now here the header turns blue, okay? We also have the time that this was inactivated. We also have this crossed out I icon here. And also note that appears on the timeline as well. So if you return, or if we would return, I should say, to the main Reg Update screen, that update would no longer be displayed. And remember, to see any Reg Update marked as inactive, you would go down to the bottom of the filter, select View Everything Radio button, and then you will display any Reg Update that has been marked inactive. And also, while I'm out here, you can see, even though I marked it as inactive, we always allow you to make it active again. Don't forget, we have that automatic archive setup in the settings area. Okay, so you can automatically do this instead of manually. Now below the mark inactive, but on the top of the overview tab here in the upper right hand corner, we have this download button. When you select this, you're always going to see one option that's called summary, but you may see two that's called, and the other option would be called Reg Update Analysis. So here we do have those two out here, and we're going to look at both of them. So the summary option allows you to download a PDF of all the information found on this Reg Update overview page, along with a link to the Reg Change website. That PDF can be attached to a task, email, any other sharing mechanism that you use internally to ensure that the right business unit or department person is alerted to their relevant Reg Update. So let's look at that summary. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So here it is. Everything on that overview tab, to include important dates, related items, whether you've taken action or not. And here at the upper top left, the link to the Federal Registry. So if I click into that, here I am, unsafe sound banking practices. So again, it takes you right to that update. Let's get back out here. Now the other option is the Reg Update Analysis. So let's take a look at that. Now, let me just say this. That Reg Update Analysis, that only appears when this has been a major Reg Update. And what it means is one of our Ncontracts experts has created an analysis specific to this Reg Update. So let's look at that one. I'll open it here. So here at the very top, we have the release date, effective date, what the action is. Here are references. See, I hover over that. That is a blue hyperlink. So I would click into that. Again, it would open up a link in my web browser. We have an overview, a background and scope, deposit broker definition, primary purpose. We go on, just all that information. Action plan. So very cool. All right, let's get back to the Reg Update area. Okay. So here we see the affected sections of the change. We also have a summary of the change. We have important dates out here and also our related items. Below, we have, has this been implemented? This is yes or no with a calendar picker. And you can see going across the top up here, we have action plan, which the action plan allows you to create tasks, inform those departments of those important changes. And then we also have an estimated effort tab out here, and that screen allows you to provide information pertaining to the cost and time estimated to implement that regulatory update. And then that information can be presented to senior management and or board of directors through reporting. But let's scroll back down here. We also have another option, which is this does not apply to my financial institution. When you click on that checkbox, now we have a free text field out here for you to go ahead and apply why it doesn't apply to your financial institution. And then you'd be able to save that. Let me just uncheck that box and discard. But down here at the bottom of this page, whether it's been implemented or not or does not apply to your financial institution, this is how you address a reg update. Okay, this is how you get that address state out there. So remember, we have that automatic inactive feature within settings based on the address date. So that's how you address it. So let's go back out to the regulations tab. And if I scroll back down, now we see I have a check mark here because I've addressed it and it's underneath the address column, which really does bring me to these column headers. We can sort this list by column headers. Clicking on any of these headers will sort the list. So I could sort it by name, I could sort it by type, by publish date, deadline date. But that brings me to these dates as well because we have black and red dates out here. Black dates indicate that either you've taken action on the item or if the deadline is not past due. Red colors indicate the deadline is past due and no action has been taken. So of course, the idea out here is you don't want to see a lot of red. Okay? And then we also have the addressed, so I can pull all my checked items to the top. And there's that one. So let's get back into this regulation and look at the action plan. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that tab. And when I click into the action tab down below, we see some predetermined action plans out here. Okay. Now you can use one of these predetermined plans and add to your action plan by clicking on add to my plan. What that's going to do is it's going to take you to a task area. Okay. But what I want to do is I actually want to add my own task out here and send it out to myself so you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add a task to my plan. When I do that, we get this pop-up. This is our task form. So at the very top, I have to apply a name of the task. That is a required field. There's a red asterisk there. So let's just say I'm going to put test task. And then my description is going to be, please read and confirm. Now we have a status out here for the task, whether I want a progress bar or not. This is yes or no. Okay, you don't have to have a progress bar within the task, but I do want to apply it because I want you to see what that looks like. Then, when do you want this task due? Say I'm going to give them a week to read this. And now, when I click on the assignee bar, here are my list of people who I can assign this task to from the user area of the software. I can apply one person, I can apply multiple people out here. Now, if I don't find who I want to send this task to, all I do is scroll all the way down to the bottom and I can add an assignee while I'm working out here. When I do that, I have to apply their first name, their last name, and their email, and then just click Add Assignee. You're just adding them to this task. Now, what that means is they do not have to have access to Ncomply. Anybody within your financial institution who has an email can get a task, okay? So they don't have to have access to Ncomply unless you want them to have access. Then you would create them in the user area of the software and give them either admin access or case manager access. But for a task, they don't need that. And then down below here, I can upload a file, I could add that file's URL, I could link an existing document. So let's say I want to add that summary out here. I want to send this out to that person. They need to be aware of their reg change. So I go ahead and click on that. And now I'm going to click on my regulatory change, and I'm going to go ahead and click on open. And you can see it's downloading or uploading. And I'll be out here in just a second. It's verifying. And now it's uploaded because I have the ability to delete that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and click on save. When I do that, we see my task in a folder. When I hover over that, I get a hand. That means it's clickable. But this has high-level information, the name of, or I should say the title of my task, who I assign this to, how many documents are attached, and that it's in a not started state. So that email has come in, I believe. Thought I heard it. Let's look. Yep, it did. I just want to download my pictures first and then I'll bring it over. There we go. So this is what a task looks like that goes out again to anybody at your financial institution. It comes from Ncontracts at ncontracts.com, has the logo here, it has their name on it. You've been assigned a task. So what they would do is go ahead and click on View Task Details. When they do that, now they are directed to that task. Where they see the task, they can apply from the status bar their progress, maybe their percentage of completion, that's that slide bar. They can see when it's due, who it's been assigned to. They can write comments. And then they can add that comment. Comments are going to be timestamp dated and who the actor is. Here's that document. I could click to download and then I can read it. So this is what a basic task looks like that goes out from the software piece. Again, to anybody who has an email within your financial institution. Okay. Let's go back in the software. Now, since I applied my status, I used that slide bar, I added a comment out here. Let's go back in and look and see what that looks like. So now when I go back to action plan, here we can see it's in progress. So this is actually an exercise to show you that a person doesn't have to have access. They can just work strictly off that task and information flows immediately back to the software. So let's click into this. When I click into that, I get this slide drawer that flows out. Now, me being the administrator and creator of this task, I have the ability to come in here and edit the title of the task or the body. But I can see it's in progress. It's 61% complete. I could modify the date if I needed to. I can modify the assignee as well. Here, I can see the comments that were made, timestamp dated, who the actor was. As I continue to scroll down, I can see all the activity, timestamp dated, and what the action was. Here is that document, timestamp dated, who uploaded it, with the ability to add additional documentation out here. Now below that, we have notifications. Again, me being the creator and admin of the software, I could apply a notification to my task assignees. So what I could do is I could pick a specific day from the calendar picker, or I could choose a number of days before the due date. Okay, so if I say starting tomorrow, I want this task to go out one more time and never repeat, or I can say repeat in the number of days. So one would be that email would go out every day, 2 would mean every other day, 7 weekly. Okay, and then I would just go ahead and add that notification. Now we can see that notification is down here at the very bottom of the page, and I also have the ability to delete that. Another thing that I want to show you before we go any further, because that is how the action plan works within the software, giving you that ability to send those notifications out. But I want to show you the task tab, because when you create a task within the Reg Update area, policy, documents, it's going to appear here within the task area. So when I click into that, here you can see this happens to be a task off of the document, off of a policy. Here's a project. But let's scroll down. Here is that task that I just created. And it's already grouped for me. It's going to group your task by what you created that task off of. High level information, documents, how many comments, so on. And that is also a folder that I can click into. Let's go back to the research tab, and I'm going to go back into the Reg Update area. And let's click back into this. We have one more tab to discuss, and that is the estimated effort. When I click into that, like I said earlier, you can use this maybe for the board of directors or senior management. You can apply a start and end date for that implementation, the estimated cost for implementing this regulation, or the number of man hours that it will take to implement that reg change. We have an institutional impact field out here. When I click into that, that is a free text field for you to describe the impact to the financial institution. All right. And that is how the reg update area of the software works. And I'm going to open the floor up to questions. Does anybody have any questions about reg updates? Well, I'm not getting any questions coming in. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who joined me today for this training session on the reg update area of Ncomply. I appreciate you so much for joining me for this session. I want to wish everybody a wonderful afternoon. Have a great weekend. If you need anything, you can always reach out to me or the support department. We're here to help you with the Ncomply piece. But again, thank you, everyone. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.